And here's to the chaos in Hong Kong, as in a clear rebuke to China, the lower chamber of US legislature has now reaffirmed its support for pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong. It passed a series of bills that aim to defend civil rights in the semi-autonomous territory. The act, called the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, will now move to the upper chamber before it can become law. It has in fact drawn rare bipartisan support in a polarized Congress.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentleman for yielding.
In Congress, Democrats and Republicans in the House and in the Senate stand united with the people of Hong Kong. If America does not speak out for human rights in China because of commercial interest, then we lose all moral authority to speak out for human rights any place in the world.
Rising resentment in Hong Kong is not simply a result of the ill-fated extradition law championed by Chief Executive Carrie Lam, but the continued encroachment on freedom and liberties by President Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party.
The move has prompted an angry response from China. In a statement, China warned the US to stop meddling in its affairs. It said that China would take strong measures to counter the proposed Hong Kong bill. The Chinese Foreign Ministry's statement reads, and I quote, "What Hong Kong faces is not the so-called human rights and democracy issue at all, but the issue of stopping violence, reinstating order, and upholding the rule of law as soon as possible." Now, the law, if enacted, would end the Hong Kong-US special trading status unless the Foreign Ministry certifies annually that the city authorities are respecting human rights and rule of law. 4 months of large and often violent pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong pose the biggest popular challenge to Chinese President Xi Jinping since he came to power in the year 2012. The protests began in opposition to an extradition bill that could have allowed Hong Kong residents to be sent in trial in the Communist Party-controlled mainland Chinese courts. The protests have now morphed into a broader pro-democracy movement. China has accused some foreign governments, including Britain and the United States, of fanning anti-China sentiment over Hong Kong. Staying with news from Hong Kong, and its leader Carrie Lam was today forced to suspend her annual address after being heckled in the city's legislature. Opposition lawmakers disrupted the session from the start by shouting and projecting slogans. Pro-democracy lawmakers shouted 5 demands, not 1 less. After a first interruption, the session briefly resumed, only to be interrupted again. It was then adjourned for a second time, with the address delivered by pre-recorded video instead. Lam said that the government will continue to uphold one country, two systems formula. She also said that the government will not tolerate calls for independence or anything that hurts China's national security or sovereignty. The legislature resumed its sitting on Wednesday for the first time since it was stormed by protesters in July. The Legislative Council was expected to officially withdraw the extradition bill that sparked the protests. The withdrawal will only be possible once the session resumes. Lam faces immense pressure to regain trust and resolve the city's biggest political crisis in decades.